Justin Trudeau is nervous, and he has every right to be. The Liberals have never been, this bad in the polls ever. There is so much hype. There's so much support around not just the Conservative Party of Canada, but anti-Trudeau. Everybody wants Justin Trudeau out. He and his Liberals, they can't go anywhere in Canada without getting booed, heckled, swarmed. It's too much. And as a result of, all of the backlash, all of the controversies, all of the mismanagement, Trudeau has shuffled his cabinet. Now, we've covered that in several videos, but today we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive and look at some of the speeches that Omar Alghabra in particular does and do a bit of an analysis on what is happening. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's absolutely free to do so. As well as once you're subscribed, there's a little bell notification that pops up. If you turn that on, it adds a layer of insurance to ensure that you actually get notified of upcoming videos. We're fighting YouTube suppression, government suppression, Trudeau's personal algorithm, Bill C-11, Bill C-18. There's so many things that we're fighting. So it's actually a surprise that we're still, standing and still able to post videos. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So Trudeau to shuffle his cabinet as soon as Wednesday. We know who got shuffled. We've heard from people. We've heard Trudeau make a speech as to why he got rid of Marco Mendicino, and it was a non-answer, just as you expect. But instead of going to Trudeau, let's go right to the source and see what the people have to say who've been let go.
And we have breaking news.
Hi, friends. After almost 11 years as a member of parliament, 2.5 years as a minister, and 6 elections, I've made the difficult decision to not run in the next election. Until then, I will continue to serve the constituents of...
And I just want to be clear, this in no way, shape, or form was him on his own making the decision not to run. He was told not to run given a lot of the controversy, a lot of the backlash, a lot of the negative press that he brings to the Liberals and to the table. So it wasn't just Omar saying, yeah, I've had enough, I should quit. It's the higher ups, Justin Trudeau, other people saying, okay, you're really bad for us right now. We need to get rid of you, so you need to step down. That's how that works.
Mississauga Centre as their member of parliament. As a result of this decision, I'm also stepping aside from my role as minister because the Prime Minister deserves a cabinet who is committed to running in the next federal campaign. This was not an easy decision. It's always tricky to figure out the best timing for such a step, but I feel it's the right time for me. I've had an incredible journey in public service. As the Minister of Transport, I helped lead our country through many challenging issues. We protected Canadians during COVID while supporting the transportation industry during an extraordinary period. We worked on reforming our aviation sector by enhancing transparency and accountability. We worked on improving our supply chain and established a supply chain office that will advance resilience and efficiency within our transportation network.
I'm just going to pause it for a second and ask the audience, do you think that this Liberal government in any capacity has become more transparent at all? I'd love to know down in the comments. If I could put a poll in the chats, I would. Unfortunately, that's not a part of the system integration, but I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you really believe that the Liberals have truly, even a smidge, 1%, have increased transparency within the government? My answer is flat out no. They have been the least transparent government that I have ever seen, and that's why there's so much backlash around the world internationally. It's not just Canadians that hate Trudeau and hate the Liberals. It's the whole world. People are seeing what's happening. They're saying, hey, Canada is really turning into China. Even Joe Biden, when he came for a visit several months ago, half a year ago or something like that, or maybe a year ago, right? He was giving a speech saying, we really like what you guys here in China have been doing. Sorry, I mean Canada. Was that a slip up or was that the truth? Who's to say?
We are moving closer to making the dream of a high-frequency passenger rail that connects Quebec City to Toronto a reality. Those are just few examples of the important projects that I had the honor of working on that are important to Canada. During this wonderful ride, I met incredible Canadians and visited every corner of our beautiful country. I loved every minute of it. I'm very grateful to have worked alongside Prime Minister Trudeau and to have gained his confidence. I remain committed to his vision and his leadership. I also want to thank my supporters who've kept believing in me, my current and former staff for their dedication, the amazing public servants who serve Canadians with integrity, my colleagues who have become like family to me, and lastly, I want to thank my constituents who I've had the honor of representing in Ottawa. This has been the journey of a lifetime, and I feel exceptionally lucky to have had this experience. Canada is the best country in the world because of our people and our values.
It's supposed to be the best country in the world, but what the Liberal government is doing is they're making it one of the worst countries, right? One of the worst countries in the G7. This is not the Canada that we envision. This is not the Canada that you or I grew up in. This is not the Canada that any of us want, which is why we're vocal, which is why this channel has 303,000 subscribers. And, you know, in conjunction with all the other channels, 350, 400,000 subscribers. That's why there's so many people that are standing up, that are trying to express their voices, their concern, they're distraught for this country because it's not the country that any of us want. It's turning into a whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. I got allergies and I'm drinking tea. Today's not my day, but it's turning into a communist regime and people are fed up. So the fact that he can sit there or stand there with this straight face like the little rat that he is and say that this is the perfect country and this is the best country goes to show how disassociated these people are from reality. They think that there isn't a housing crisis. They're denying that there's a drug crisis, which is why they feel comfortable funding the drugs here in Canada. They deny supply Ukraine. It's really weird thinking. They would rather have a reputation that shows that they are caregivers to outside of the country, such as Ukraine and other countries, right? The humanitarian aid, rather than fixing our own stuff. That's not a good approach, and this is why the West is losing and why we're just allowing other countries to stomp all over us, and why we're allowing all of these rotten policies, all of these gender ideologies to plague our politics, to plague our culture, because we've become soft. Our government doesn't know how to say no, except to its own people, really. So kind of sadistic in a very weird, poetic way.
I'm excited for what's next. But in the meantime, thank you for everything.
All right, so that was video posted by Transport Minister Omar Alghabra to his Twitter account announcing that he will not be running in the next election. He is one of a number of ministers who are not seeking re-election or are rumored to be being shuffled out. Scott Reid is joining me now. He's CTV's political commentator. Scott, good morning to you. Yesterday it was Carolyn Bennett.
Morning.
Today Omar Alghabra saying that he's not going to run again. What's your reaction to what we just heard from the Transport Minister?
First of all, I really like that video. I mean, in a world where most people are using, it seems like at least most people are using social media to hurl stones at one another, it's kind of heartfelt. It's a direct characterization from his perspective of the work he was trying to do. That was a really nice goodbye. But clearly, it's a goodbye.
But nobody cares. Like, you're not judged based off of your goodbye videos. You're judged based off of how much you're bringing to the table and what you're doing to fix the country. That's your job. So it's kind of weird that he has the audacity to say, well, that was a great goodbye. Who gives a shit? We don't even need a goodbye video from these people. Who gives a shit? His work was subpar at best. It was horrible. These people are turning into communist dictators, and that's what they will be remembered as and judged as. So nobody cares about his goodbye video.
He's not going to run in the next election. That means he's going to be leaving cabinet tomorrow after the shuffle. And, this is what happens in sort of midterm shuffles, if we can characterize it as a midterm shuffle. You go to ministers who are in cabinet and say, are you going to run in the next election? Are you reoffering? And if not, you move them out. And it sounds like that canvassing of ministers has occurred. Sounds like there's going to be a number of ministers who aren't returning. And it sounds like there's going to be quite a few people that will be moved out on that basis or other bases.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about, for a second, about Alghabra's handling of his portfolio. He's taken a lot of heat over the last year because of all the problems at Pearson, and then we saw what happened at Christmas during the travel season. So if you had to sum up how he did as Transport Minister, Scott, you'd say what?
I would say working hard.
And this is the difference between mainstream media and Mr. Sunshine Baby and us political YouTubers, right? The political commentator that they bring on to CTV says that Omar Alghabra worked hard, and that's who he is. He's a hard worker, even though flights have been delayed, airports have been in a crisis mode and underfunded, and it's just been a shit show for 3 years ongoing. But no, he's working hard. We should praise him and be empathetic to the situation instead of objectively judgmental. Objectively, he didn't get the job done. Objectively, he failed. Objectively, he's not resigning. He's being forced to resign. He's being fired. Objectively, these people are ruining our country and they don't know how to do their job. And objectively, CTV sucks. CTV sucks. Who cares about his feelings? Who cares about praising him for how much hard work he did? He failed his job. It's not hard to admit that. It's not hard to admit that you have failed your job or somebody else failed their job. It's objective. It's just so frustrating.
To me, all those challenges are indicative less of failures on the part of the minister than they are the challenges of that ministry and this department at this time. And I struggle to point to a bunch of mistakes that he made. He just got a heavy wind he had to work into. You've got challenges at Pearson, at the airport authority, trying to unwind those. You look at what's been going on with airlines. You look obviously at the pandemic and the post-pandemic environment. And he was handed a bag full of rocks and asked to lift it and try to make it look effortless. It's a tough job. And by the way, that's a caution to whoever is going to receive that job tomorrow. You're going to have your work cut out for you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that tomorrow. As we mentioned, Carolyn Bennett, Helena Jaczek, another minister who says that she's not going to be seeking re-election. So is this an opportunity then for Scott to bring up some maybe unfamiliar faces into cabinet? Who are you watching for to be making a move?
Yeah, I do think you're going to see some new ministers, and there's a couple. One, former colleague of ours, Marcy Ian, who was on Canada AM for years and years, and I used to appear on there all the time with her. Infectious, fun, strong communicator from downtown Toronto. I wouldn't be surprised to see if she gets moved into cabinet. There are a number of others. You look at Charles Sousa from Mississauga, possibly fairly recent to the Liberal caucus, but a former Ontario Minister of Finance under Kathleen Wynne. That's a possibility. I also think we have to look at other parts of the country. My suspicion is that, the list that we've just rhymed off of ministers who aren't reoffering isn't complete. There will be some others. I wonder, as an example, Bill Blair, will he be coming
He needs
back
to go.
again? There's been some criticism of his work. He's caught up in this whole sort of, security apparatus, messages not getting through, emails being unreturned, all that sort of. He's caught up in that controversy, but he's also possibly indicative of someone who's getting a little older and may not be thinking about running again in the next.
It shouldn't be that difficult out of 40 million people in a country to find one person who has little to no controversies or skeletons in their closet or just isn't a shitty person. And it just so happens to be that the Liberals, the majority of the Liberal cabinet, are actually genuinely shitty people. And it's frustrating because as a taxpayer, as someone who's invested in how my country is going, the economics, the politics, the direction, and now for some reason we have to worry about gender ideology, which is being turned into a political weapon by the Liberals. It's frustrating because you have a bunch of incompetent, children that are running the show that just aren't using common sense. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Are you happy with the results of the shuffle? Are you happy, satisfied, or do you want more? I know everybody is gunning for Trudeau. Everybody wants Trudeau to resign and step down and him to be the scapegoat for everything that he's done because, well, the truth is that he deserves to go. He deserves to be in jail for the crimes against Canadians that he has committed. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.